Good afternoon, everyone. It's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. I hope you guys are having a great afternoon. We are going to dive right into a story about Ryan Edwards and our favorite Black Widow, Mackenzie Edwards. If you recall, the two of them announced their pregnancy, or actually, no, the two of them didn't announce the pregnancy. It was Mackenzie that announced the pregnancy on Instagram with a photo of her ultrasound earlier this month. The picture came as a shock to many because Ryan recently left his stint in the clinker in April and had spent, my goodness, 3 months behind the clinker? No, not 3 months, 6 weeks. I don't know. It felt like forever. He went in the end of January and it was until April. And when he came out very, let's just say, anxiety ridden. He's been shown in a couple of the episodes of Teen Mom OG this season saying very little. Ryan is a man of few words, and on this show we call him Ryan. Now his girlfriend, stage 3 clinger, wife, Mackenzie Edwards, who has been doing her best to try to get a starring role on the Teen Mom OG, has done her best now to secure a second pregnancy, which apparently was not planned. Now, it may not have been planned by Ryan, but I got a sneaking suspicion it might have been planned by Mackenzie. Okay, I have no idea. That was just my snark. Okay, so what's the deal? How did this happen? How in the heck did these two end up pregnant? Like, seriously, why aren't you on birth control? What's going on, Mackenzie? Or why aren't you using a, condom? I don't know. I have no idea, Ryan. Tell me why. So apparently, Radar Online spoke to a source. Now, I wish, whenever I'm seeing these sources, I always imagine it's someone like Jen, Larry, maybe it's even Macy. What if it's actually Mackenzie? Sometimes I feel like Mackenzie is probably selling these stories as an undisclosed source because she's that thirsty for fame. And if you've watched any of the Teen Mom OG episodes this year, you'll notice that every single time she's on, she's always like, I didn't sign up for being a single mom. This is not what I wanted. But I also, got involved with a guy with a serious drug addiction and decided to have a kid with him when he wasn't even sober. Cool. All right, so that's Mackenzie. That's my impression of her, although she has kind of a southern accent, so I'm going to have to work on that one. Anyway, the source, maybe Mackenzie, said it wasn't planned and she didn't find out until a month ago. It happened right after he got out. And I think if you recall, I said on my stream when I actually broke this news that she was knocked up, that it had to have happened around the same time that he was released from the clinker because of the timeline connected to her ultrasound and her ability to actually know the sex at this point. So she's having a little girl, and apparently it happened right away because what do you do when you get out of jail? You get busy. All right. So initially, she was blaming her pregnancy symptoms on stress. The source said she thought she was late because of dealing with everything, and then Ryan coming home and stressing out. Her periods also haven't been consistent since she had Jagger. If you recall, Mr. Jagger, he was born in October. So yeah, she might be still breastfeeding, although I don't know if she has been breastfeeding. Who knows? I'm not on the 411 with her. I don't have her on my speed dial. But it very well could be that her periods aren't normal. But that would still not be an excuse not to use protection when you're getting busy, even if you're married, Mackenzie. Your desire to become the next teen mom star of the show is showing. All right. So after that, she started putting on weight, y'all. So she thought she was late. She was blaming it on stress. Then she started getting the chubs. And when she started putting on weight, she went in to take the test. And then the results apparently shook them to their core. And they were both completely shocked. Although I'm sure Mackenzie's shock was more like, whoops. And Ryan probably had a dip in his mouth and was like, that. Because he's always got a massive dip in his mouth. Like, even in that picture. I hate, like, Ryan's always got the dip. Even look, there's the dip. All right. So she's due around January 1st, and apparently the family, Mackenzie's family specifically, is not supportive of this. I wouldn't be surprised if that's true. They said that they need to focus on him getting better and on his relationship with the kids he already has, not to mention their relationship. Apparently it's a mess, and she's digging herself deeper with Ryan. So shocking, word on the curb, if you heard that, is that their relationship isn't the best. How many of you are surprised by that? Press 1 for yes and 2 for no. All right, you guys. So then we've got Ryan is, still battling with his addiction, and he's trying very hard to get better. He spent, he was arrested on January 23rd. He ended up being charged. He got out of the clinker on April 15th. So what's going on with Ryan? Well, his family actually doesn't necessarily even buy that this last stint behind the clinker will curb his ability to stay clean. In fact, they have said that being incarcerated, his family hopes he will learn his lesson and stay clean. Would they bet on it? Not a dime. They said drugs are very powerful, and when your body needs them, you do things you normally wouldn't do. Very true. And I believe his drug of choice is opiates, which is an extremely powerful addiction. It's one of the hardest addictions to kick. And individuals on this addicted to opiates suffer some of the most significant withdrawals in terms of their overall illness. So it's a very, very, very hard one to recover from. But there are a lot of resources available to individuals that want to seek help. Unfortunately, due to the opioid crisis in the United States, beds in rehabs and medications such as Suboxone and methadone in order to help treat the disease are not always easily accessible for individuals recovering from opioid addiction. So apparently, while he was behind bars, Ryan actually thought Mackenzie cheated on him. No. What? No. I wouldn't be surprised, y'all. Wouldn't you be surprised if they both have side pieces? Honestly, what if they both have side pieces and that's why she doesn't even seem to care that he's on Tinder? Because every single time that he comes out and we find out that he's on Tinder, it's like she just ignores it. So maybe she's got some side pieces too, and this is just a marriage of convenience for MTV, for a paycheck. Who knows? It's insanity what this is doing. But anyways, Ryan thinks that she cheated on him, and apparently he's not 100% clean. So he is no longer using the opioids, but he is still drinking, which is not a good sign. Typically with this type of addiction, you would counselors would suggest abstinence for at least a year because from anything that's mind altering. And we've already seen with Ryan that his drinking usually leads to a relapse. That's been his pattern. And for individuals that have addiction that say that sometimes you can, hey, if that worked for you, that's fine, but we're going to go off of Ryan's pattern. Typically when he's drinking, he relapses, and it's been his pattern. So we're going to go with he shouldn't be drinking. So because he is still drinking, she doesn't trust him fully, and she doubts his decision-making if she's not supervising him. So she's apparently got him on a short leash and is watching him because she's like, that's my paycheck over there. Don't go back. You're my job. You're my social security for the year. Come on, Ryan, don't do it. I mean, she's probably got her binoculars on laser focus. Could you imagine if she had a telescope in her car when she was trying to follow Ryan? I wouldn't be surprised if she actually when he dips out, she's following him behind in another unmarked car. Anyway, so the baby girl is coming in January. This relationship is utterly a mess, and I guess Mackenzie doesn't trust him. Ryan's not in the most stable of places. Duh. He has not yet been demonstrated that he's able to be fully sober, but he is certain. Look at these weird pictures of Mackenzie. Sorry. Anyways, he is on Instagram pretending like he's a great father, Insta father. Ryan's never had a relationship very much with his son Bentley, and he barely knows his son Jagger, and now they're going to add a third child to the mix. Mackenzie most certainly is going to pretend like everything is perfect because that's what she does. And Ryan will continue to say nothing and sit in his garage and drink with his neighbors because that's all Ryan does. I don't know that Ryan has ever done anything else but sit in his garage and say, yep, okay, it was up. Ryan. And Macy will continue to talk about Ryan on Teen Mom OG. I don't know what your thoughts are on this. I was sort of skeptical, obviously, when I heard the news because he's recently out of the clinker. He's not in a stable position. I'm glad to hear, at least through this source, that the family isn't supportive of this and is concerned about Ryan because I have seen over and over and over again the family surrounding Ryan enable him and diminish what he's been through or minimize what he's going through with his addiction. His mother is his number one enabler. Mackenzie is his number two enabler. And his dad is like literally the only one that's ever tried to say anything. And when he does, Jen puts her foot down and tries to stop it. So it's good to see that they're at least a little bit more cautious. Maybe they've woken up to the fact that, after so many arrests for this, that this is a serious issue. And I should point out, like, one of the most important aspects we should be talking about in all of this is that every single day, hundreds of people around the country are dying from opioid addiction and from overdoses. And this is a very serious disease that he's battling, and a lot of people do not win. And so I don't want to mock him or make fun of him because what he's dealing with is incredibly serious. But I really wish that he was surrounded by people that would take that seriously and maybe guide him in a different direction or maybe provide some boundaries for him, because it seems like every time he gets out, he doesn't have anything to fall, like he never hits a bottom. His parents continue to bail him out. He's living in a house that is owned by his parents. So his parents basically gave them a house because they were broke. So now they're paying for his mortgage or whatever. Maybe they own the home outright. But he never has consequences, and he constantly has people to pick him up. He had Jen, his mom, clean up his messes, and then he married Mackenzie, who is now his another mom, and he likes them about equally the same, which means he doesn't like anyone because Ryan really doesn't like anyone. He's a jerk. And not many people that are going through this kind of stuff are in their right mind and capable of love, which calls into question is, what is Mackenzie thinking? Why is she staying with someone in a situation like this? Like, I understand this need to love someone and be with them and realize that it's a disease and stuff, but he has zero consequences here. There's no bottom. She has said so many times, oh, if he relapses again, I'm over. Oh, if he relapses again, I'm over. She never hangs tight to her bottom line. She has no bottom line. In fact, I don't see her ever leaving him because he's her frickin' paycheck. She has zero life without Ryan. She has zero income without Ryan. Her stint on Teen Mom 2 or Teen Mom is completely secured because of Ryan. And the more children she has, the more likely is that she'll be on Teen Mom, which is kind of sick. And we know that she's been wanting to be a star of this show for a really long time, which is interesting because even despite the new pregnancy, they still didn't add her as a star. Instead, what did they do? They added boring Mackenzie McKee. Mackenzie Edwards is so thirsty for fame, so thirsty for her 5 minutes, and clearly took zero precautions to prevent a pregnancy. And I do believe she is number one taking advantage of Ryan, because if you watch Teen Mom 2 or Teen Mom, I'm sorry, I'm getting confused I'm thinking about Janelle. If you watch Teen Mom OG, he barely likes her. I mean, Ryan barely likes anyone. And he treats his women horribly. I mean, how many girlfriends he was terrible to Macy. Remember Dallas? He was horrible to Dallas. And now he's terrible to Mackenzie. Not to mention, and I hate to say this, but let's just say that Mackenzie isn't necessarily his type, if you know what I'm saying. His last girlfriend was a pinup, for Christ's sake. And Macy is, when she was younger, before she was 3 kids into the wind. I mean, Macy's beautiful, let's just say. Okay. But Mackenzie, she's kind of a downgrade. And I don't want to like shame her, but a lot of people have pointed out that the more ill he becomes, the less away from like what his type would be. And it's because who's going to date him except for leeches and people that are looking for an opportunity, because no one in their right mind would get involved with this man as far as they could throw him unless they wanted cash. And he's got a cash cow in Teen Mom OG, and now Mackenzie has a cash cow in him. So I want to know what your thoughts are. Do you think that this was planned by Mackenzie? Do you think it's unplanned? Do you think she was shocked? I don't know. I don't know if I buy it. I think Mackenzie wants as many kids as she can. Now, this is just my opinion. Don't take this as fact. Don't use this as a word of like, well, Katie said that you wanted to do this. No, I have zero idea. That's just literally my gut saying like, I think maybe she wanted this, but I could be wrong. I just think she's a stage 3 Klingon. So I want to know your thoughts. Let me know in the comments and tell me what you think. And if you want to make sure that you get all the latest scoop from me, make sure you ring the bell, subscribe to my channel, and give me a thumbs up on this video. Also, make sure you follow me on Twitter at WOA Crystal Ball to find out all the times that I go live. I'll be back later today. I'm not sure exactly what time. I've got to go run some errands. But for now, that's the tea on Ryan and Mackenzie. Have a great day, guys. Bye.